At this point, it has become abundantly clear that a certain number of associate justices on the Supreme Court have ignored some pretty basic ethical standards for their own personal benefit. We know much of this because of the dogged work of ProPublica and other media organizations. What we've learned is a truly disturbing array of obviously questionable behavior from justices interacting with wealthy benefactors who have very specific political agendas and just so happen to share their generosity with the justices. Justice Samuel Alito got a luxury vacation paid for by Republican donor Paul Singer, who has key cases before the court this year. Justice Alito was also accused of previewing an upcoming decision about contraceptive access to anti-choice lobbyists who were breaking bread with him and his wife. He denied sharing the information. Then there's Justice Clarence Thomas, who almost deserves a category of his own for behaving like a kept man. This year alone, we learned that he failed to report many gifts, including from his bestie, Harlan Crow, a billionaire Nepo baby with a penchant for Nazi paraphernalia. The gifts included a string of luxury vacations, yacht trips, private jets, and private school tuition for his great nephew. He also bought Thomas's childhood home where his mother lived, making Crow her landlord. We also learned that Thomas attended the exclusive annual men-only summit at Bohemian Grove, care of the Koch brothers, who also have key interests before the court. Oh, and did I mention that Justice Thomas, who loves to tell Americans he's just a humble man preferring a simpler life behind the wheel of an RV, got that RV from a rich friend. They said it was a deal or a loan, but guess what we found out yesterday from the Senate Judiciary Committee by the New York Times? Thomas never repaid a substantial portion of a $267,000 loan from that rich friend, raising questions about whether the loan was properly reported on his taxes. Many of these stories have a common thread, and that is Leonard Leo, the man who single-handedly reshaped the Supreme Court and the federal bench across the country. 5 of the current conservative justices are handpicked from the Federalist Society, an organization he used to run. Leo has marshaled billions of dollars into reshaping the court and the country. And he is close personal friends with Justice Thomas and Harlan Crow, to the point where he is in a painting Crow commissioned that includes Justice Thomas and a number of other conservative activists. Leo has worked closely with Ginny Thomas as she promotes right-wing activism. In fact, according to reports, Leo helped send money her way without a clear explanation of why or for what. Yesterday, the Senate Judiciary Committee announced that they will vote to authorize issuing subpoenas for a few of those benefactors. This includes real estate billionaire Harlan Crow, mortgage company owner Robin Arkley II, and Leonard Leo. I'm joined now by California Senator Alex Padilla, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Thank you so much for being here, Senator Padilla. Let's talk about this. The reaction that you have gotten on the Senate Judiciary Committee from people like Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo has been dismissive, to say the least. Leonard Leo has said the following: I would not bow to the vile and disgusting liberal McCarthyism that seeks to destroy the Supreme Court simply because it follows the Constitution rather than political agenda. What do you expect the reaction to be to these subpoenas?
Well, this is not the first step. It's not the last step in our investigative efforts. Joy, first of all, let me say happy Halloween. What the Senate Judiciary Committee is on the verge of doing, I believe, is certainly not a trick, and it's certainly not a treat. Issuing subpoenas by the committee has only been done a handful of times over the years. So it is a very, very significant step, and it wouldn't be necessary if we had individuals willing to cooperate with the committee. You know, for the folks who want to criticize or critique the Senate Judiciary Committee for wanting to impose an enforceable code of ethics on Supreme Court justices, it's not that we're not trying to do it the other way. The Supreme Court has had opportunities to do it for themselves. They refuse. We've begun investigation, trying to gather information. Thank God for the ProPublica and other investigative reporting that has led us to this point, but we know there's a lot more there, and that's why we give Harlan Crow, the others, an opportunity to come forward with the information that we're seeking. And if they refuse to cooperate, first of all, what do they have to hide? A whole lot, and that's why these subpoenas seem to be necessary.
And you started to say if they refuse to cooperate, because we have seen people like even Jim Jordan, who almost became Speaker of the House per his caucus, defy subpoenas. People like Steve Bannon, others in the Trump world have seemed to confer upon themselves the power to avoid and ignore subpoenas from Democratic-led committees. What happens if they fail to comply? Will there be contempt of Congress requests made?
Exactly. If they refuse to comply to subpoenas, then we continue to escalate as well. But I wanted to emphasize that point because anybody who accuses us for shooting from the hip has it all wrong. We've given them ample opportunity to supply the information that we're looking for to participate with the committee, and they simply refuse to do so. Joe, you've covered a whole lot of legal issues over the years. When somebody has nothing to hide, they are more than happy to cooperate with the authorities, right, in the interest of finding justice. But when you refuse to cooperate, when you do nothing but obstruct, it begs the question, why? Thank good, all the investigative reporters have brought to light the information that they have, but we know there's so much more there. We need that information to better enforce the law and to impose the necessary enforceable code of ethics on the Supreme Court that they refuse to adopt for themselves.
Is there any thought of subpoenaing Ginni Thomas?
Well, as any good investigation, you go where the information takes you. And we already know there's information on the money that has come to Ginni Thomas's quote unquote nonprofit organization, the role and activity she had around the January 6th insurrection. She's obviously married to an associate justice of the Supreme Court. So there's a lot of there, and that's why this is not the first step nor the last step in an investigation.